I want to tell you about a phone call I got last week. It was from a commercial real estate broker up in Roseville. Roseville is a nicer, somewhat wealthier community in the Sacramento area, northeast side of Sacramento. And so this broker, commercial real estate broker, he was representing a buyer, and this buyer was looking at a couple parcels, a couple of retail parcels in Roseville, and they were right next to each other. So they weren't big parcels. They were about an acre or so. So there's two parcels right next to each other, one stacked on the other, north south, and they were at a fairly busy intersection. And the reason the broker had called me was he had talked to two different title insurance companies, and neither title insurance company was going to insure that the northerly parcel, so the north parcel of the two, they weren't going to ensure that north parcel had access to a public road. And so this broker was sharp enough to identify that in the title reports, right? In the preliminary title reports. So, and I commend the broker for that, because a lot of brokers don't even look at a title report. So this particular broker is he's ahead of the game there. So he had looked at the title reports, which was commendable, and he had determined there was a potential problem. He couldn't figure out why the title insurance companies weren't going to insure access to this northerly parcel. So he called me and said, "Hey, here's the problem I'm having." He said, "Can I send you the title reports? Can you take a look at this for me?" And I said, "Sure, no problem." I said, "Send me the title reports. I'll pull the deed. We'll take a quick look at the assessor map. I'll see if I can figure something out in 30 minutes or an hour. We won't charge you. We'll just take a look." So what did I find out when I got in, started looking at the land records, read through the two title reports, one from each of the title companies? Well, so this parcel had never been surveyed in its current configuration. It had a meets and bounds land description in the deed. It wasn't monumented on the ground. So none of these things are showstoppers necessarily, but they're yellow flags, right? So this means that this parcel hasn't been carefully surveyed before. And it turns out that the northerly parcel was indeed landlocked when I got in and started looking at it. So the city had gone in and reconfigured the intersection with the freeway there. They entered the freeway interchange. This parcel was pretty close to the freeway interchange. And inadvertently, they had left the parcel landlocked. That doesn't usually happen. What I think happened is both these parcels were under common ownership when the freeway went in, when the freeway interchange project went in. And the southerly parcel has access to the frontage road, and they didn't think about it, right? The design team and the surveyor that was working on this interchange project and the city, the folks down at the city, they just didn't think about it, and they landlocked this northerly parcel, okay? So the northerly parcel had physical access over the southerly parcel, okay? So they could there was a driveway that physically served this north parcel, but there was no easement. So I reviewed the title reports. There's no easements for the driveway, and there were some documents in the title report that showed where the northerly parcel had given up its access rights. So what did I recommend to this broker? So I sent him an email, told him what I found, and I said, "Look, here's what I recommend." I said, first of all, get a boundary survey. This thing's old. It's never been surveyed in its current form. There's no monument set. I said, let's survey the boundary. You got some buildings that are kind of close to the property line. Survey the boundary. Let's set your property corner monuments. I said, let's locate the driveway that's being used for access. I said, we'll draft an easement for the northerly parcel over the southerly parcel driveway. I said, your buyer can take that easement, and then if he ever goes to sell the northerly parcel, he's already got the easement. It's ready to go. He can sell it with the easement. I said, or there's different things we can do there, but long story short, if you ever are going to separate those two parcels, separate that ownership, the northerly parcel is going to need an easement over the driveway. Let's do that. I said, by the way, I can have you talk to one of the land attorneys I work with. There could be other issues here. There was some existing retail leases. I said, we got to figure out there probably needs to be a shared parking agreement. The businesses were sharing the parking lot. I said, so there's additional issues here besides just the access, although the access is important. And I told him, to fix that, do all that stuff, do the boundary survey, set the monuments, survey the driveway and the public road, prepare a plat and land description for the easement, file a record of survey with the county like we're required to do under state law. I said, it's about $18,000 to get all that done. I haven't done it in a couple weeks. So the broker emails me back, and he says, that sounds pretty outrageous to me. He said, I'm not a surveyor, but I think this should cost about $3,500. He said, I want to know if you'll do it for $3,500. So I emailed him back and I said, hey, I appreciate that you were smart enough to actually look at the title report. Sorry, on the main road here. I appreciate that you were smart enough to look at the title report. But you got a problem here, and it needs to be fixed. And I said, the whole reason we have this problem to begin with is because somebody didn't do this right the first time. Right? They landlocked this parcel inadvertently, and now here we are, 30 years later trying to fix it. I said, so, my recommendation would be that your client not be cheap, and that he pay the $18,000 to get this done right. Now, here's what kind of surprised me about that, and I know it shouldn't surprise me, but it did, is we're talking about $2 or $3 million worth of real estate here on a prime intersection in a fairly affluent city, and this guy wants to nickel and dime the survey and land title issues that it's got, and that's just not smart. That's not a smart way to buy or invest in real estate. And now, to be fair to the actual buyer, I don't know what the broker's telling him. I don't know how much of my message is getting from the broker through to the buyer. Or if the buyer's just if the broker's hassling me about the price and he hasn't even talked to the buyer, I don't know. But I'm not going to do an $18,000 fix for $3,000. I'm not going to do that. And there was a problem here, and it needed to get cleaned up. I told the broker, I said, look, if your client is going to just buy both those parcels and hold them, I said, then he doesn't have to pay for a survey. And I'm not trying to sell him a survey he doesn't need. But if he wants to get this fixed, and he wants to make sure he can sell that northerly parcel and that it has access, then this is what we need to do. The potential risk here is down the road, this buyer goes to sell the northerly parcel, and that parcel sells without an easement, and then somebody's getting sued. Right? That's how lawsuits happen in commercial real estate, and I see it happen frequently. Right? I work for attorneys that deal with these kinds of problems. So, what are the lessons from this? This is a true story. This really happened to me last week. What are the lessons? The lessons are, you don't want to half-bake the solution to a half-baked mistake, right? So, when they went in to do 30 years ago, they went in to do this interchange redesign, reconfigure the freeway interchange. Somebody messed this up. They half-baked it. And they weren't paying attention, or they didn't do a good job, and they landlocked this retail parcel. Okay, so don't try and half-bake a solution to a mistake that was caused because somebody already did a half-baked job, right? That's not smart. If you're a commercial real estate broker, you got to be reasonable about fees, right? I don't know what this guy's commission was on $2 or $3 million worth of real estate. I'm guessing it was significantly more than the $18,000 I had asked to actually go out and do a survey and monument the parcel, prepare an easement. This guy, this is a guy that could potentially walk away with $60,000 or $80,000 or $100,000 commission, and he doesn't want to pay $18,000 to fix what could be a very serious problem for his buyer. So, be reasonable about your fees. If you're in the commercial real estate industry as a profession and you call a land surveyor, don't insult them. You need to have a reasonable idea what it costs to get stuff done. That's your job. You should know that. And then the other lesson is, it's always good to fix this stuff now, not later, right? So this is a mistake that was made 30 years ago. It still hasn't been fixed. And my guess is these parcels are going to sell with the problem. The northerly parcel will remain landlocked. And this problem probably won't get fixed until that north parcel sells and the buyer realizes they're landlocked, and then they sue. They're going to sue the neighbor to the south. They're going to sue the city. They're going to sue the broker that sold them the parcel. They're going to sue the title insurance company, right? So, fix it now. Don't fix it later, right? If you're in the commercial real estate business, you should know that papering over problems is usually not a good investment decision. So there you go. Fix stuff, fix it right, fix it now. Don't kick the can down the road.